Hi, I'm Al Goff.
And I'm Miles Miller.
Hi, this is John Schneider.
Hi, it's John Glover.
This is Justin Hartley.
This is Steve the Knight.
This is Aaron Ashmore.
This is Cassidy Freeman, and you are listening to Starkville.
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 Starkville. Starkville, House of L.
Starkville, House of L.
Starkville, House of L.
The podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the House of L. This is our episode for the Smallville Season 3 episodes, Truth and Memoria. I'm Derek.
And I'm Frank.
Hey Frank, what's up?
Good to see you, buddy.
How are you?
I'm rocking and rolling. I'm deep in some Smallville Season 3 and loving it. I haven't been here in a minute. I haven't hung out in Season 3 in a little bit. It's nice to be visiting again.
It's a warm, fun place to be. There's something weird about Season 3 also that, I don't know if this is true for you. It always gets kind of pigeonholed as the dark season.
Yeah, it did early on. And I guess
People
still call it that, but when you compare it to 9.
9 is way darker to me, but at the time I guess it was so different than 1 and 2.
After 1 and 2,
and then 4 got just so, fantastical.
Campy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm excited to talk about 4
Sure.
because as with age I have grown more fond of it.
Sure. You've mellowed.
It may be the Back to the Future 3. I don't know about mellowed is the right word. It may be the Back to the Future 3 of me now at the end of my life. This is my favorite. 4 is not my favorite, but
But now, at the end of my life.
At the end of my life, I appreciate 4 a whole lot more.
Interesting.
2 because of what 4 has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but what 4 almost was with Swan and everything that could have happened. We've been talking about that a lot with Season 7 between Talkville, and you just did that awesome video for us talking about the original cut of Veritas and how different it could have been had the writer's strike not ended and given us those additional 5 episodes. I think it's something we've talked about on Shoe a whole lot over the years, but I'm always fascinated by how different that could have been and how much they crammed from those final 5 episodes into Veritas. Anyway, I say all that to say revisiting Season 3 has felt like a warm blanket. There's also something, I don't know, odd about it. Feels like fall. Like it's like a very autumn season to me.
It is very autumnal. It is very autumnal. Yeah, it is. It's there's so much coziness.
Yeah.
And that's
for this dark season where everybody's eyes are bleeding.
It's, yes, right.
Liver disease.
It's very nostalgic for me for when I was first coming to the show. Season 3 was really a place where I really started to fall in love with it and really, from the beginning of it straight through to the finale. It's just there's I don't want every episode equally. These 2 that we're going to talk about today though are really solid ones in the middle of this, almost the end of the season.
Think about the final, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, the final 5 or 6 of these and how good. You had Truth, you had Reeves' last performance.
Mm-hmm.
Legacy. Truth was way more fun than I remembered it being back in the day.
Yeah.
This one, Memoria, after that, which is one of the most beautiful episodes of the series. We were talking kind of this morning how it hits us a little bit different now as dads than it did.
I've not watched it since my kid was born. I've not watched the Memoria in particular since my kid was born. And obviously I remembered the story and because it's such an important plot point, but watching it as a dad, being a parent is a whole other gives it a whole other weight.
And then Talisman, obviously after that was a huge episode. I honestly have forgotten Schneider missing for both of these episodes, prepping to direct.
That's right. That's where he was. I was like, where was he these 2 episodes?
That's what I was trying to remember. It's he wasn't filming a movie or anything, but he was prepping for Talisman. So,
that makes sense.
That's happening. Forsaken, I'm excited to revisit it. I remember it being a little weaker, but it's obviously Sam Jones' last regular appearance as Pete. And then Covenant was a huge finale at the time. So these last stretch of Season 3 episodes are so good and a good reminder of why I love this season so much. So yeah, excited to talk about that. Other stuff going on. Have you gotten this yet? The Superman, the art book?
I don't have it yet. But
thing is incredible.
I've been loving what you've been sharing from it, and it looks like a gorgeous, gorgeous piece.
It is. It's one of the better art books I've seen and behind the scenes and making of.
Honestly, it wasn't really on my radar just because those art books generally I'm kind of disappointed by them. It's a nice coffee table piece or whatever, but this one actually looks like something
one's good.
This is going to be on my Christmas list, I think.
This one, and I have to give him props. Craig Byrne did the Dark Knight art and making of book back in '08. Krypton Sites, Craig Byrne, and it's a really good companion because it's got like sketches and stuff too. And I remember him saying at the time he read. It also has the full script inside that book.
Wow.
Which Guns is getting a script book too, separate. I think it comes out in the spring.
Nice. I've
already pre-ordered that.
I don't think I realized Craig did that book.
He did, and it's really good. But I remember him saying like he had to go on the Warner lot and get locked in a room and read the script before the movie ever came out. So he could, know how to like assemble the book and everything. So
that's cool.
I say assemble, not physically assemble a book, but where to what.
Put the metaphorical pieces together, yeah.
That's right. That's right. So, Good Times with Craig, he announced yesterday that both Erica Durance and Laura Vandervoort have signed on for Salute to Smallville Year 3 in Nashville, which is next November, a year from now in Nashville. So, excited to be doing that again. And yeah, just housekeeping stuff I'm trying to
think
of on the fly.
I got to say that the stuff you've been posting on Instagram and TikTok lately has just been so much fun. I think you've really
found
Timothy,
man.
I know, man. Well, but some of it's you. I mean, some of it's your hands-on with the book and that sort of thing. And the DVDs. Oh man, I meant to tell you a few weeks ago the whole like handwritten thing you did.
The pens that they sent.
Pens.
My God, man, these Ferris wheel press
beautiful
Superman fountain pens are just what they were so nice to send 2 of these sets over, and they're so incredible. I got the Fortress of Solitude set and I think the Superman set, and then there's a Lois set too. I didn't get that one. You would think as a writer, I love writing more than I do typing, but I've never been a big fountain pen guy. I've had a couple, and I've never had ones that are. I mean, these are way out of my budget for what I would, shop on a pen. I'm always, a Bic guy, but these are so cool and so fun to write with, and I so appreciate them sending those over. And if you want a set for yourself, you can head over to Ferris Wheel Press and use the checkout code HouseofL10, and you can get 10% off on those new Superman sets from this summer. They're really, I can't say enough nice things about them. They're
beautiful,
really cool.
Yeah, you and Tim are blowing it up, man. Let's talk about it. Yeah,
let's talk about these 2 episodes. Truth and Memoria. Truth, directed by James Marshall, written by Drew Greenberg, aired April 21st, 2004. It is the 62nd episode of the series, and it was I'm sure I know I've revisited it since. Because I know every time, we got toward the end of the show, I was rewatching the series during the summer and that kind of thing. But it's been a minute since touching this one.
This is one
we uncovered some new stuff about it last night watching it as well.
I feel like it's been a long time since I've watched it closely, for sure. And I feel like this is one that I might, when I've done sort of cursory rewatches, I might have skipped this one. And be like, I want to get the next one's Memoria. I definitely want to watch that one next, right?
Right. If you got Legacy, Truth, and Memoria in a row, and you're going to skip one,
you might skip Truth and go right to Memoria. Yeah. But I had not watched it all the way through like that in a minute and watched it that closely. I actually watched it twice. I watched it last night straight through, and then I watched it again this morning with the commentary.
Which I did not remember at all. So I'm excited for you to tell me about that, because I know I watched it, but
it's one of the few commentaries I do remember because it's a lot of fun with John Glover and Allison Mack talking to one another. So that's a fun one. But yeah, we'll get to that. But where do we begin with this one? I mean, it's such a Chloe focused episode, which I was saying to you last night. Like, it's kind of funny watching a very Allison Mack heavy episode right now, with her having because we were talking about this, she was just recently on Inside of You with Michael, and her podcast is coming out on the CBC, which has been a very interesting listen. So she's just back in the public consciousness, and so it was really interesting to watch this very Allison forward, Allison heavy episode, especially one where Chloe is kind of an adversary and is sort of a, not full on evil Chloe, but is less the good guy than she sometimes is. It just really it's funny timing.
Her scruples are screwed with.
Questionable.
And this one, I guess you could say questionable scruples. But who gets to be a meteor freak on the show twice, too?
Right?
That's not something that happened just a heck of a lot. So for her to get to do it and then get cured of it and then come around again after interaction with Brainiac.
When I think about other were there other times where she had some kind of like red kryptonite when Clark,
when Pete, when they got drugged, when the little creature critters, if you want to call it, I guess that would be a meteor freak,
kind of adjacent.
But yeah, as far as just straight on abilities from Kryptonite,
Yeah.
though,
Yeah. Doesn't happen often.
or from Silent, no, not really. And I mean, a fun one for a reporter to get. Obviously, that's something that she
Yeah.
says in this episode. It's it's what a gift to have, the ultimate reporter's dream of getting to have something like that. But she pisses off a lot of people in this episode too, and she gets one of the teachers arrested.
Yes.
Who was wanted for murder back in the 70s. She was in a radical extreme group, which was funny. I told you I just watched One Battle After Another right before watching this, so that was kind of funny.
That's very funny timing. Yeah.
I completely forgot about that. Right out of the bat, though, we're following a Luthor Corp employee home in the cold open, and there's a car that pulls up behind it, and it's Gabe Sullivan's car. It's not even Chloe's car. I don't know why she wasn't driving the Volkswagen in this.
I don't know.
I guess
the whole
they had to
episode.
wreck. The whole episode, she's driving his Ford Thunderbird, which ends up getting wrecked. I read a thing that said they wrecked 4 Ford Thunderbirds in this episode.
Oh, that's fun.
So a lot going on there. But she's following home her dad's former supervisor from Luthor Corp. And as they're going in the house, I texted you. I was trying to scramble for screenshots. But the guy goes in the house. This is after Lionel has fired Gabe. And I was like, that door looks really familiar to this house. And so then I pull up Covenant, which is just a few episodes later, where Chloe and Gabe get blown up. And I'm like, that's the same front door. I think this is the same house. Not, it's not like they went into witness protection in Gabe's boss's house or anything. They just used the same, but I'm pretty sure this is the same house that Chloe and Gabe, the safe house that they're in for Covenant. And I sent you, and I think you agreed with me. I can't remember now.
It sure as hell looks like it. Yeah. The only difference that I either one of us could spot was that there's a door knocker in
and that's props.
And that's exactly
that.
right. So I think it is the same. It's the window looks the same, like that.
The door looks the same. The panels, of course, it's raining and dark in this cold open, but
right.
It's also one of those things I was like, did we notice this before? Probably not. The bigger one later on, though, is we were just talking about the wreck of Gabe's car on the bridge with Mrs. Taylor's son. That's the same bridge from the pilot.
100% the same bridge.
She nearly goes over. And I was like, now wait, we've even been at that bridge.
Yeah.
You and me have.
I 100%. It's definitely the same one. I definitely never clocked that before. I don't know how, but I just never clocked it before. But yeah, it's the one from the pilot. No question about it.
I would be shocked. Yeah. So almost goes over in the same manner.
Yes.
Sue and Mrs. Taylor's son trying to run her off the road. What do you think it is, kind of just broader, stepping back from this, but somebody asked me a similar question the other day. What do you think it is for this show, not just for our friend group, but so many that it has lasted, that it keeps coming back into the conversation so much?
I think it's one of a kind in a certain way, because it is one of the few, and certainly one of the first properties where we're taking this one era of Superman story and we're really dissecting it. Like we're doing a 10-year magnifying glass on it, right? So I think that ultra, like, zooming in, pinch to zoom, if you will, on this one era of the whole Superman story, an era that is usually told in a few paragraphs, right? Is what's so interesting, because there is so much blue sky territory there. So there's so much room to play around. And part of it, I think, is now we're coming up on the 25th anniversary of it. The last several years, obviously, there's been a lot of nostalgia around it. Basically, since the 20th, I would say there's been a lot of nostalgia around Smallville. Talkville came out around in this time too, and so you've got all that happening. Obviously, Superman promo machine is in full swing, has been in 2025. But I think what makes it so much like at the end of the day, what makes it last the test of time is that it's so many people have so many personal connections to it. It means something different to everybody. Everybody who watched it casually with, their dad or whatever, who's no longer with us, or who this was their introduction to Superman. Like, everyone's got, or for like you and I, we were already big fans, and like this was getting a new telling for what was then the modern day. Now we're old men, but what was the modern day for our era. And it sticks with us much the same way that, the music you listened to when you were a teenager sticks with you. The TV that you watch at a certain formative age will also stick with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of our Beatles of TV shows a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. For me, it is.
But yeah, I'm seriously though, it's funny, and it's funny that now, like Tim sends me stuff from social for these kids that weren't alive
Mm-hmm.
when the show weren't alive when the show was on at
Yeah.
all. You know, that some of them, yeah, and just the takes they have, and of course they're some of it. It's so funny how the more things change, the more things stay the same. Like there's still people arguing Clois and Klana in
Sure.
the year 2025 of our Lord, and how Klana should have been in game, and I'm like, that. Why is that still even
Why are we still
a
doing this?
conversation? Why is this still a debate at this point? Again, all love to Lana, all love to Kristen. Not
100%.
that's not neither here nor there. Just obviously after 90 years, you kind of think Clark and Lois are going to get together, but it is funny to watch how similar some of the takes are to, like, remember 2008 Twitter, like 2007, 2008 Twitter, when we were so heavy on there, all of us, our friend group, and you know, we were dying for these episodes every week, and we were in the shoe forums, and it's just weird to.
Hey, Derek, do you think we can get hashtag Smallville trending this Friday? Think we can
did
do
a few
it?
times, didn't we? We did a few times. No, I think Netflix buys Warner Brothers is trending on Friday, or, you know, resurrect the Snyderverse or whatever. I don't know. But I love that it's so attainable too.
Yeah.
Is that even today, when we're getting shows that are like I know we're staring down the barrel of Stranger Things this week, finally, or beginning to finally end. We've still got, you know, a month and 2 months to go before it's fully over. But how many of these other shows have even come and gone during this time period?
Yes.
I think I saw, is it Better Call Saul? The entirety of Better Call Saul happened in between Stranger Things premiering, and, like, you know, all these good shows that have actually not just been canceled, but have, like, made an impact, and then, you know, have already ended in the time
Left
that
their
it's
mark
taken
and then left the
for to do
stage.
this.
Wow.
And then, you know, these shows now that are like 6 episodes, 8 episodes, 10 episodes.
Right.
We'll have another season in a year, and then we were, you know, churning out 20, 21, 22, 23 episodes of this. We were there every week for a decade, and I mean, just and never missed it. And
even the strike year, they got 20 out of it. You know, like
even the strike, yeah, that's wild.
That 15 would have been like fine, you know, like would have been enough. But like, geez, the fact that even that year they managed to break 20, like just.
I know. I was thinking about this too when we were talking about you filming that video the other day, when this would have just gotten too wordy. It's also crazy to me that strike is way more memorable than this most recent one was.
Same.
For a lot of reasons too, but obviously doing the podcast during that time, the uncertainty of it all. And so many shows got ruined by that strike. Heroes, obviously we were doing 1020 at the time. So many things got negatively
Quantum
impacted.
of Solace.
Yeah. Like there's just so many things that got hit, and while Smallville did get hit, it didn't affect it so much. Now, obviously, all the other things going on around it, and the uncertainty of it with Alan Miles leaving, Michael leaving, Kristen and John leaving, but as far as, you know, the strike itself negatively impacting the series really didn't do that.
Not really. They
so
were
many
able
other
to
ones got affected.
Pull out of the nosedive, you know, like it could have been by all rights, it should have been a much harder
Absolutely.
impact. But we managed to pull out actually a really good season in the end, in season 7.
All said and done. This one with Truth, I feel like more often than not, Chloe got a bad rap, and it was often me giving Chloe a bad rap. I don't know if I've changed on that as the years have gone by, because I was always the one back then to be like, I don't trust Chloe. Like she's always manipulating. She's always, you know, she wants to throw stones, but she's also got all these own secrets of her own, and, you know, trying to hide and deceive. I think you could chalk a lot of it in these earlier seasons up to that scorned lover. Also, she's a high school kid kind of thing. By the end of it, when we're like stockpiling kryptonite weapons and stuff behind Clark's back and all that, that was when I got a little bit more.
Yes.
When she became a little bit more altruistic, there was some gray to her there, and everything wasn't so black and white. But kind of going back on these earlier seasons now, having rewatched the show and recording as we go, I'm a little bit more, I don't want to say sympathetic, giving on Chloe on some of these levels. And then we get to this one, and I'm like, you were a little too brazen with how you honed in this power.
In these early seasons, I do give her a little bit more. Yeah, I do feel a little more forgiving. I do give her some grace because I have perspective now on where she's going to go, right? And like
we're not 16, 17-year-olds watching it anymore.
Right.
As you said, we're old men now.
Now we're old men.
Yeah, now we're old men.
All the stress we felt from all this time has resulted in us losing our hair, and now we're just here.
Yeah.
And they give her some grace. I mean, look, she's a kid, and it's like you see how all of this ambition and her reporter's nose eventually does get her into all sorts of troubles, where she gets fired from the Daily Planet and just leaves the reporter track altogether, right? So
goes the Dr. Fate route.
The Dr. Fate route, exactly. Yes. So I find it kind of fun because it's like, this is all curiosity is going to kill this cat,
right? Eventually,
and you're seeing how her vaulting ambition and her really like digging in on these things and not letting something go. I mean, even in this episode, she says, like, I'm afraid that one day I'm going to go too far and not be able to say I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. And in many ways, she hit that this time around.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
So listening to the commentary, there was an alternate ending where Clark was going to, they shot Clark not forgiving her at the end of the episode and walking out, leaving her in the barn.
Kind of did the Pete Too Fast, Too Furious thing.
Yes, that was shot. They shot both versions, and they ended up deciding that him forgiving her and giving her a hug and smoothing it all over was the way to go, and felt better. They felt like it was, I guess, the dialogue that they had felt too mean for Clark and didn't hit right. But they shot that. They wrote it and shot that, and they decided it in the edit which one was going to stay.
Is that in the deleted scene?
I don't think so. I don't recall.
Probably not.
Having seen that. I don't recall ever having seen that. But both James Marshall and Allison Mack mentioned that. It's funny, the commentary, I'm 90% sure they recorded Allison and John Glover having one conversation, and then James Marshall talking solo separately, and they stitched it together into one commentary. So it's kind of off-putting because it's like there are some things where they sound like they're talking to each other, but they're definitely not. It's definitely two different conversations that were stitched together to make one commentary. And it works, but you'll hear them tell the same story and sort of repeat themselves. Anyway, they both talk that having happened and having shot two different versions of it. So yeah, they weren't sure how they wanted to handle that one until
that's
they were
interesting. And I love a writer's room. I think one of the best things a TV show can benefit from is a well-staffed, obviously, writer's room. Smallville had one of the best, especially in these early seasons, working as a team, but it's fun to watch kind of legacy go into this episode and then this episode go into Memoria, and we're still so much in the trenches of what is Clark's secret, and Chloe on the search for Clark's secret and Lex on the search for Clark's secret, but the two of them very much wanting Clark to be open and come to them with, whatever he's hiding. And then you've got Lionel. Is it weird to you that kryptonite didn't work on Clark?
Yeah, it is. It always has been for me. I feel like these are always kind of like it's whatever's going to be convenient for this episode, right?
Yeah.
Like,
of course.
But yeah, this one was always a lot. Like it feels like it should work harder on him, if anything, right?
Like I shouldn't even have to ask you the question. You just be instantly compelled to tell me the truth. Yeah.
It feels like it should be like, and I'm so bad with episode titles, but the one where he goes blind, like it should be more like that, where like it affected him differently. Whisper, more than it affected others. Or when he loses memory, like it feels like it should be different. But especially like the little crypto COVID spores.
I forgot about the crypto COVID, as you called it. I forgot about the obviously Tom likes to talk about. I actually wanted to go back and listen to Hawkville for these two.
I meant to as well. I didn't get a chance.
Didn't get a chance to, but and I know there's a lot of good stuff with Memoria too, because they had Miles on who directed. Say Alan Miles wrote and Miles directed is the only episode he directed, and it's one of the most beautiful episodes of the series. I think I already said that at the outset. But I did kind of want to go back and listen. But I do want to go back and listen to that director's comment. I know I did at some point because I watched all of those when I got my hands on those DVDs. But it's been forever. And I should check it out, especially with Glover on there.
Yeah, because he was so rarely involved in those.
Yeah. And the two of them, I always really liked the Chloe Lionel interaction on the series too.
And I think it's at its finest in season 3. Like
it is. It obviously comes to a head, and it's obviously, as watching it now older, is a little creepy, little odder than it seemed back then.
Even Lex and Chloe is odd. Like,
well, I mean, Lex and Lana. I mean, you think about
all of it.
The age difference. You think
Lex
about the
and
age
Clark,
difference.
all of it.
I know, but you think about the age difference here, and it's like, did we not question this more?
Yeah.
back in the day, I mean, there's a 7-year age gap here, but in 3 years from now, they're married. And,
right. I was thinking about that. Yes. At the beginning of Memoria, I was thinking about that when Lana comes in and finds him
off the off the balcony.
Like, in 3 years, these two are getting married. That's
weird. Isn't it? Well, it's that whiplash too. Like if you watch the season 2 and then watch the season 9, like you're just like, what show has this become over the last 7 years? It's so weird to think about.
Sorry, I know I'm talking Memoria now, but like
you're
when
good.
Lionel is behind, Clark getting kidnapped as Summerholt. I'm like, so we're stripping a minor, like we're literally stripping his clothes off, cutting them off, throwing him in this tank. This billionaire is the one doing it, and in 3 years he's going to be at Thanksgiving.
This is his Thanksgiving thing. I was thinking about it. Chloe's going to be passing the rolls right next to him.
Right?
And like he tried to kill you 3 episodes from now.
What?
Or however many, puts you in a witness protection, and then tried to blow you up.
Yes.
For telling on them. And then another thing, the search for the trying to bring down of Lionel through all of this line through is really good as well. And how these episodes kind of all weave into that too, because you've also got Lionel's sickness that is coming to a head, or will be, coming to a head, obviously more as we get into season 4, but and the discovery of him killing his parents. And God, Glover is just so good. Chloe, she traps him with the voicemail, and as soon as he says the line, he's like, "You shouldn't have done that." Like,
why did you ask me that?
Why did you ask me that, Miss Sullivan?
It's so good. The two of them are so. I would have loved to see them in a play together.
Yeah, they've both obviously
on theater.
He has, but she as well has. So that would have been cool.
Did I ever tell you about the time I saw Allison Mack in person?
No.
Didn't meet her. Didn't get to talk to her. But when I lived in New York, I was in Bryant Park, which is the park right behind the New York Public Library, for those who are familiar. I was in Bryant Park for a coffee meeting. It was essentially a job interview. And I was sitting there waiting for the other person I was sitting there with the person who was interviewing me. And as I'm sitting there at a table, Allison Mack was in New York doing a play at the time. And I'm sitting there, we're having our coffee, and she walks right by me, Derek, no more than 10 feet away. She's walking by, she's listening to her iPod and singing along to something and holding her coffee. And I'm like, there goes Allison. Oh my God, there goes Allison Mack, but I'm in the middle of a job interview. I can't just stand up and walk over.
Could we pause this for just 1 second?
I was so oh my God, stay focused. And this is like 2011, 20. I'm pretty sure
this is
season
late.
10 was still airing. At the time, I think this is like early 2011 or late 2010. Like season 10 is still on the air. We're in the end game of the show. So like I'm in my fever pitch of Smallville fandom, and there she goes, just walks right by me, and I can't stop and say hi. And it's to this day one of the weirdest things. Yeah,
that's random.
Could not believe it.
I never have those experiences whenever I'm in LA or New York.
LA.
Obviously, I'm in LA, but I never just bump into somebody. That never happens to me.
Very rare. It was very rare for me too. The only other one I have is Tracy Morgan. Saw him walking down the street once. Oh, and Ben Stiller.
See, you got plenty of those. But you live in New York too. That happens way more in New York than it does.
I mean,
you're not walking around LA.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not really
a Grove or something, and you're
not really a walking city. Yeah, it happens a lot more in New York. But yeah, Allison Mack. That was my brush with.
That's funny.
With Allison Mack. Yeah.
Glover does this too. Schneider and I were actually talking about this at Salute to Smallville in Chicago a few weeks ago. How we wanted him to do it on stage, we never got the chance, but he can still to this day. And obviously, he's in his 80s now, and I think he wanders a little bit more, dialogue wise than he normally would. But he's still, if you told him to become Lionel, he can make that Shakespearean switch. Like he's just a Shakespearean trained actor. He's so incredible. But he does those turns kind of in this episode and in Memoria where he's okay, and then does that evil switch. One being here with the voicemail, but then in Memoria where he thinks Lex has killed Julian in the crib.
Yes.
What have you done? Just that grit that comes on is really cool. To the point of the voicemail, a good idea. 2004. On your flip phone, Motorola flip phone, taunting him with "I'm the only one that knows the password," and your password being 1234.
maybe not.
It's not. Now,
I don't know.
I don't think that's how he got in there because obviously he's Lionel Luther, and if
Right.
Kansas Com or whatever
he just bought the
cell
phone
phone
company
was. Yeah, like that's probably not how he got in, but also like don't taunt the magnificent bastard with I'm the only one with the password and then type in 1234. That's something an idiot would put on their luggage.
Yes. I don't know that I would have shown my hand at all, really. I think I would have taken that like to the cops and then but that's the hubris of young Chloe, right? Even with the Mrs. Taylor stuff. I'm just being like, I'm gonna print this in the school paper instead of like going to the authorities, which Clark is even like, don't you think you should have gotten the police involved? And her response is, I uncovered a murder. It's like, yes, that's what I'm saying. Don't you think you should have gone to the cops?
You didn't. There's whether or not you got a scoop or not, like there's things you should have followed up on. Maybe calling the police department.
For the high school paper. Let's be clear.
Right. Let's be clear. You are 16, 17 years old.
Circulation 350, maybe?
Why was there no oversight committee with the torch? I guess because the teachers are wanted for murder and are, getting kryptonite abilities and setting football fields on fire. And
try
stuff like
oversight on Chloe Sullivan as the editor. She was editor-in-chief when she was a freshman. She had this thing locked up.
Yeah. Well, I think Principal Kwan was going to, but he didn't make it.
Yeah, no, well, that's what happens when you try to get involved, right? Yeah.
Right, yeah. That's what happens when there is to be oversight. But there should have been some school faculty advisor that was observing what she was up to from week to week because
for sure
it was more than just the crossword puzzle.
Yeah. There were a few things that that needed an adult.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this episode. I mean, I guess you could call it a freak of the week in many ways. It was, but it's also so refreshing going back and watch. I don't know about you, especially having gone there, but these earlier seasons and so much on location shooting. So when the show felt like it had the money behind it.
Yeah.
From week to week.
The WB years, had more scope and scale and it felt like a Warner Brothers production, like it felt like an old school. This may have been 2004, but it was still the 90s spiritually, and it looks it and it feels it. And I mean that as a compliment. I mean that in the best way. It's a shot on film, Warner Brothers bona fide production, and it looks every bit it.
I miss it being shot on film too. That's just something you lose in seasons 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah.
I feel. Yeah. And I feel so lucky we got those and the show got to have an ending and it didn't, end with Rosenbaum holding Welling and the fortress caving down and, that be it, or something like that. That we actually got. Especially when so many people were actively rooting against the show internally at that point.
Yes.
At the net or, at CW. It's so odd that we got so much, but it is really cool to go back and watch. And of course, I'm watching like the chase scene on the bridge, and I know where it is because we were there, and I know it is from the pilot. But then I also got that Kansas in the back of my head of seeing all these majestic Vancouver Canadian wilderness mountains surrounding us, which happens so much. But again, it's just that on location shooting made that show so much richer. And that's not to take away from what it became, because it obviously became a very different animal by the end of it. But and so much of it was on set. Even being outside that school is so nostalgic.
Yes.
For me, for those first 4 seasons. And I know this school switched at some point, but it's still very iconic to me to watch the students congregating out there. Obviously, it is a school. We went there.
Yep.
Not academically, but we didn't attend, but we visited.
We visited the campus.
And it's just really neat to watch it still be so, I think, beloved today.
Yes.
Not, obviously you and me and then our crew.
But it's finding a new audience to this day, right? Like it's still.
Man, I don't do the TikTok, but Smallville TikTok is apparently wild right now. I don't know if your feed. You've been doing some incredible things with TikTok. Your Beatles videos, which is awesome.
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
I don't know if your feed has any Smallville stuff in it, but apparently it is quite the.
It's mostly the stuff that you guys are servicing that I'm seeing the most of. Tim, you and Tim are doing an amazing job there. But yeah, I'm seeing mostly that, but I'm seeing the conversation around the conversation, right? Like I'm seeing how much buzz that there is around the show. And it does pleasantly surprise me how much new people are coming to it and congregating to it, and that it still has that staying power. Like for the original fans, like, who are going to all these cons with Tom and Michael and everyone else, like there is a real the Talkville, community, I feel like they've really built this.
They have. I think, and you got to give Tom and Michael their due there, and Ryan. I think they've all three done incredible. It's amazing to see people coming to the cons that are patrons, that are Talkville patrons. And the first thing I've asked the last 2 years, as soon as I walk out on the stage, is how many of you were there, October 16th, 2001? How many of you jumped on during the run of the show? And then how many of you watched after? And it's like all the hands go up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see why? Because these people weren't alive.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe when the show ended, but some of them are like,
there's been a lot more time since the show ended than since the show
I know. and then it's crazy. And it's all these people now that leave comments on Instagram and stuff. They're like, my mom, I used to watch it with my mom. And I'm like, shut up. Like,
that I know, right?
So old.
Yeah. But it's great. Like, it's what you want.
It is. And I think there's also something too that with the new movie, as far as likened things go, I feel like Gunn's Superman and this are the most
energetically,
cosmically linked or something. Like, I feel like, I think a lot of people would say, oh, Smallville's more like Lois and Clark or more like Superman and Lois, or obviously TV is a different animal than film, but and I know Smallville borrowed and donated so much to Reeve and Donner and that whole era of the IP, I guess you'd say.
Sure.
But there's something, again, I say cosmically linked about the new movie and this that feel very cohesive. I think a lot of people came to the show after having watched and enjoyed the movie.
I think Smallville represents like something of a leap forward for the time, like, because you're talking about, we couldn't put the I talk about this a lot on podcasts, but like, we couldn't put the X-Men in their actual costumes. We had to put them in matching uniforms because I don't know, because audiences won't buy that. We think, like, we decided.
We can make a yellow spandex joke, but we can't show you in the yellow spandex.
Right. So like, and Smallville was still doing that, but doing it they were pushing that boundary a little bit. Yes, we had everybody in hoodies that represented their costumes in Injustice, but like, still, that was a step further and closer and pushing the industry towards eventually where we ended up with. It pushed us towards Superman 2025, pushed us towards, in the immediate term, The Dark Knight or Iron Man, it pushed us towards, like, let's have a real take on this and not just what if they were wearing a version of it, and what if it's obviously no one's going to take it seriously to put a real comic book on screen, and then in a couple of years we have Watchmen where we're putting a real, like this was pushing that forward in a big way, and at the time was one of the, you got these movies every couple of years, but you got 22 new episodes of Smallville every year that were pushing that forward.
Yeah.
And is it still of its time? In many ways, yes.
Oh,
but it is the driving force of the whole, like, comic book property industry going more real and real people and real. The Kents, you talking about recently about how the Kents feel like real people that the Kents from Superman 25 feel like real people that talk like real people that don't be a stranger, here's something for you on the box, like all that stuff. That Truth, Justice, all that stuff. That is what Annette and Schneider were doing for the 2000s. Like, they were a much more real young, even the fact that they weren't an elderly couple, right? That they were middle-aged, like the age you expect to have a teenage son. Even that iteration is a huge dynamic shift for the whole story.
Right.
It's just that he can have that kind of relationship with his parents where, even on Lois and Clark, he had a close relationship with his parents, but they were still the older, kindly couple that adopted this much younger kid. And here we have a much more, like, age appropriate, if you will, matching. Like, that changes so much. And that's something that we still have in Gunn's Superman. And so many of those things that Smallville advanced, Gunn's Superman benefits from. So I love that it's still influencing stuff today, and I think will for a long time. I think the same way that the Reeve stuff obviously was a major influence on Smallville, because it was it was the piece that was as far away then as Smallville is from us now, more or less. Further. Yeah.
Which is crazy.
But, like, it's now we have that same rearview mirror perspective, and now that is influencing the new stuff that gets made today. And I love that. Gunn has said that Smallville will influence.
Oh, yeah. And it's you talking about like the parental aspect of it, and two, watching. We can segue into Memoria here, talking about watching it as a parent. I'm almost as old now as Schneider was in season 1, which is horrifying to think about in some regards, because I felt so young when this show started.
Sure.
And he was 41. I'm 40 now, which is crazy. Annette is older, so I got a few years before she became part of it. Yeah, it's just weird watching it from this other side of again, at the end of my life. It's fun watching it at the other side of the spectrum, but still enjoying it so much, because sometimes you can go back and revisit those things you liked as a kid, and they don't land quite the same, or you can say, yeah, that doesn't really jive in 2025. And again, a lot of Smallville doesn't.
Plenty.
I know a lot of people like to cite Erica using the R word in like a season 4 or 5 episode.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
TV was a different animal, obviously, back then, and as was, writing for characters. And there's things you would have said in 2010 that you wouldn't say in 2025.
Yeah.
So
true.
But it's fun seeing people come back to it or come to it for the first time. And again, like you said, I think that there's watching a comic book evolve on screen, which I think Gunn's Superman is one of the most comic booky films.
Yes.
To date. I don't know if you would argue against like Ang Lee's Hulk with the panels and stuff like that, or Snyder's Watchmen, but as far as I felt like watching a comic book come to life on screen, especially like the Pocket Universe stuff and, him and the river and all that, like all that just feels ripped from the pages. So it is fun. Memoria is our next one, and we quickly move on from the Chloe Truth serum for this episode. Chloe's not even in this episode, I don't think.
No, I guess not.
Pete's not in this one. Chloe's in. That's another thing we can talk about, was Pete, admitting his love for Chloe in that one, which was
always felt out of nowhere.
Felt like a kind of duh, but then it was announced, and then nothing ever came from it. I did like the line of, as long as you're on Ask Jeeves, ask him how long it takes to die of embarrassment. What a Ask Jeeves reference.
I'm like, was Ask Jeeves was that even really a current reference anymore by 2004? I feel like that was already sort of remember 3 years ago?
Yeah. Ask Jeeves, for me personally, Ask Jeeves was very like a 98, 99
Same. Yeah,
Google was straight up the go-to by 04.
Definitely.
And like by 05, I had a Gmail address, I think, 05, 06. Right. So we weren't that far off from at that point. Ask Jeeves did seem. I didn't notice I was looking at notes on Smallville Wiki, and there's a Smallville comic where they win a butler named Jeeves for like a month or something.
That's fun.
So anyway, but Memoria aired on sometime. Probably the week after that, I'm guessing. Yeah, April 28, 2004, directed by Al Gough and Miles Miller. Written by Al Gough and Miles Miller, directed by Miles Miller, excuse me. And it is the 63rd episode of the series. And quite memorable. Like, there was nothing in this one where I was like, I didn't remember that. But like, it's been so long since I've watched it at the same time, but I retained, I would say, 98% of it.
Yeah. Oh, this one, I've watched it many times. I've not watched it in a long time, but I've seen it so many times. It is one of those seminal episodes of the series, certainly of this season, but it's one of the most key episodes to the whole, in terms of, you've got your big lore episodes, right? This is one
you got
of
the
those.
legacy episodes.
Yes.
It's crazy how many season 3 episodes are legacy, not
it's
just
heavy.
the title, but there was so much lore. Yeah.
If they thought they were going to run maybe 5 seasons, it makes sense that when you get to year 3, you're like, all right, we got to start opening up the tap on some of this stuff.
We can't do a Freak of the Week every time,
right,
like season 1 and season 2.
And if we're going to get to 5, if we want to do 5, and like, we got to start moving the story forward here. We're in the middle, ostensibly, as far as they know, as far as they think of their plan.
Sure.
So like, you got to start opening the tap on that stuff.
If he's a junior in high school here, we've got to start preparing.
Yep.
But I mean, you think about the Cape being shown during the season, what we thought was the Phantom Zone, which ended up not being the Phantom Zone, but for so long we thought it was the Phantom Zone, and the fake cousin almost nearly seducing him. That was all. That was kind of weird. But Jor-El.
Yep.
Laura! This episode. Oh my God. Okay. So obviously I remember the Laura thing, and I remember the Evanescence My Immortal thing, because I was like, good Lord, that ripped my heart out in this day and age. But we hear Terrence Stamp. When the time comes, when Clark's at Summerhold and they've put him under, and jumping to the end of the episode to go back to the beginning, but he's in the kryptonite tank, whatever you want to call it. Very different duct tape than he's will soon be in here in a few episodes.
Yes, true.
But about as memorable. And we hear Terrence Stamp as Jor-El. We don't see him. Obviously, we're years from Julian Sands at this point. So we've still got old Jor-El. We've got AI Jor-El voice.
Right.
I don't know that I remembered Laura talking. I guess because he says her name, and what would be the interaction there if you didn't hear her voice? Because obviously they weren't going to show her. But I was like, gee, she sounds like Helen Slater. She really did. Like, to the point I was like, that sounds like Helen Slater. So anyway, I looked it up. It's Kendall Cross is the actress that plays Laura in the episode. What's funny is she plays Clark's grandmother. She's Jessica Kent in Relic.
No kidding.
Yeah. And she looks like Helen Slater a little bit too.
That's so interesting. Wait, that's a really fun fact that she's in Relic. I did not know that.
She's Hiram's wife. She's Jonathan's mom.
Yep.
In the flashback sequences to the 60s or the 50s. But yeah. In addition to also voicing Laura in this episode, I know I never knew that.
That's
I don't think I ever looked that up. So that was pretty cool.
That's a good one. That's some good deep Smallville
That's good
trivia.
lore. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good crossover there. This almost felt like a culmination of storylines.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
In this episode, because you've had so many things going on with like Lex's mental break from obviously the start of the season. Clark's, that's another thing we didn't talk about with Truth though, and remembering stuff we jumped over now, but the whole Pete talking about Clark's going to drive 6 hours for hot dogs. So we're still in that weird time frame where Metropolis is 3 hours away before it became like, an hour and a half, and then finally like 45 minutes maybe. It's still 6 hours round trip. But the Chloe or Martha fully on admitting about Jor-El to Chloe and her confronting Clark is like, you found your biological father in Metropolis, and that's the catalyst that set off all that, supposedly.
Right.
Which I guess, in a manner of speaking.
Yes, so somewhat.
That's not a lie. Not that he couldn't lie, but that is a half, 3/4 of a truth, I guess.
An equivocation.
Right. But there's so many things that get brought up with this one, from Lex's mental break, Clark's biological stuff. Everybody's kind of hunt on that. You've got the evil doctor yet again, who finally meets his end here, right? I don't think we ever see Garner again. I know he goes into a coma at this end of this episode, but I think that was it for him.
I think so. I don't think we saw him again after this, yeah. Because he made, 3 appearances? 2 or 3 appearances? Yeah, I think this is his last one.
According to a Smallville Ledger article, Dr. Garner was 34 years old in 2004.
Okay.
I don't like all these people being younger than us.
I know.
Let's see. Yeah, appeared in Ryan Delete Memoria and mentioned again in Odyssey. So I don't know if
mentioned in Odyssey. Oh my God! I
guess that's a test.
Yeah.
Thing, or
is he mentioned by name? Really? That's a good pull if they did. But yeah, I guess it must have been Tess.
It's been a minute since I visited Odyssey, so I'd have
to
go back and check that out. We also get mentions of Ryan and Molly in this one as well. Speaking of Ryan, it was just the anniversary of
Stray,
either Stray or Ryan. I don't remember which the other day, but Tim posted, the trailer and Ryan Kelly, the actor, commented on it and was like, oh, "Look, young Ryan," and I was like, you're old now."
That's so cool. Oh, it's been 25 years for you too, huh? Oh, okay.
Listen, the weirdest interaction I've had lately, talking about getting old and all this stuff, is I've completely blanked on his name. Blake LeBeau. Tristan? Is that it?
Tristan
from Superman Returns. And I have Tristan Lake LeBeau, if I'm saying his name right. I can't even remember. That played Lois and Clark's son, and that played Jason in Returns.
Okay.
He follows Shu.
Wow.
And is obviously 20 years older now.
Dear Lord.
And is
so he's like 30.
Yeah. He was born in 99, Frank.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Oh, he was younger than I thought in 2006.
Yeah. So he's 26.
Oh, Lord.
And a grown man, a musician, and it's just crazy.
Good for him.
He
That's
and I
awesome.
messaged back and forth not too long ago, and it's like, that's so weird. It's just, this still feels in so many ways like last week.
Yeah.
To me. Like, I feel like the show just ended.
Yes.
In some regards.
It does
and then
feel
I'm
like if I didn't know how long ago it was that it ended, if I didn't know it's been 15 years that it ended, I would
Oh, no. If you asked me, I'm like, it's a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah. 5 years, pre-pandemic, definitely, right? But like otherwise.
Well, yeah, the pandemic has not helped with the concept of time at all. But Troy, went with our buddy Troy went with
Yeah.
us to. Well, he went to Cleveland, but he went to Chicago with us on to salute to Smallville. And hey, nice shirt there. And you lost your bag over that shirt. And
Yes.
and he and I watched the Smallville finale together at Steve's house.
That's right. Yes. Right.
And
And
know,
Mosley.
it's at Mosley. And in some ways, it's just like, that was just a couple years ago. I was like, no,
Sure.
that was a long
time ago. Yeah.
That's
Wild.
crazy. It's
Wild stuff.
15 years ago.
I remember I found Shu when the strike happened. I was like, what's going on with this strike business?
Right.
And you did a special report on the strike and like what it meant for like a bonus episode. I think it was just you.
I think that's right. I think that's the first time I ever did anything by myself.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I searched Apple Podcasts and found Shu and listened to that bonus episode. And that was my on-ramp to all this.
That's funny that you did that, and then you did that video for us the other day at that time period. That is kind of cool. I always really enjoy, obviously, finding how our friend group came into the show, but also, obviously how we all found each other as a result is crazy to me.
Life found a way, my friend.
So, this one is problematic from the point of apprehending a minor and that kind of stuff. And although I guess Garner was no stranger to apprehending minors.
So it would seem. Yeah, he had no problem with that.
But I do remember just kind of how iconic this was.
Yeah, this was a real tentpole.
And it's a really good end scene between Martha and Clark. Those always hit me hard, the ones where it's just him and her, because I really love Tom and Annette's working relationship. I thought they always did very well. There's always that part in the back of my head. It's like, I wonder what Cynthia Edinger would have been like for a 10-season
run
on the show. But then I'm like, no, because obviously Annette killed it. I'd never want to see anybody but Annette in the role. But it's interesting, those alternate takes that the series could have gone in so many different ways too. I mean, it's kind of crazy. We were talking about this earlier in the episode. It's kind of crazy how many things shook out the way they did when so many different things could have and were supposed to happen in some regard. But the scene between them and really good, and finding out that Clark's first word was Laura. It's the first time we get that mention on the show. Her name and everything was really important too. And then again, that chokehold that Evanescence had on us,
man,
during
really
this time period,
truly,
because. How far past Daredevil are we?
I think it was the same year.
Point too. Or is it I guess 3.
I think Daredevil was 03, so this would be a few months later, probably.
Would have been a year. Would have been a year later, because this would have been 04. When did Daredevil come out? February 14th, 2003. So this is a year later.
About a year later.
But I just that you couldn't go anywhere in that time period without
everywhere.
Evanescence, and now especially after watching season 2 of The Rehearsal. Have you watched?
Yes, absolutely.
It's very funny to watch Nathan Fielder
man
use that music.
Yeah, well, he really landed the plane on that one, let me just say.
Good job. Nice. Self ring that bell. It's crazy to me too, and I guess it's the same way. If we ever sat down and counted it, I don't think we ever have. I usually use Steve for how many times the truck flip or the window. Does the window look the same? I was fully expecting if he had done this one, I know he would have done the continuity error thing where he's like, when Lex drops the glass, it's actually a picture. That kind of joke. But I wonder how many actors portrayed Lex from beginning to end. Not just Rosenbaum, obviously, but you had so many young actors.
There's a few young Lexes. I'm going to say 5.
There's at least 3 or 4 young Lexes.
Yes.
And then obviously by the end of the series, you've got what was his name? Connor Stanhope. Did I just pull that out of nowhere? Good Lord. That kind of became the young Lex of the later area. But then you've also got the people who played the clone Lexes, Mackenzie Gray and stuff. So I think a lot of people performed the bald man before. All was said and done. But there's something about this kid that was very memorable.
Is Memoria's not his only appearance? Is it? We see him. Don't we see this kid more than once? Or am I misremembering
Daglish.
That? Okay.
Wayne Daglish is a stunt performer who performed in Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice and Justice League.
It's amazing. It's so cool that there's that much. These things.
Some of it I get. Like Man of Steel was filmed in Vancouver. A lot of it. There's a lot of. He was in Peacemaker. He did stunts on Peacemaker. He did stunts on Guardians of the Galaxy. He did stunts on Superman.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Stunt coordinator for the Naked Gun, supervising stunt coordinator for Superman. I would love to talk to him.
We got to talk to him.
We got to find him because we never did. But I was going to see how many episodes he was in.
Wayne, I know you're out there.
Wayne, listen to us.
Listen.
I know you're listening. He was in Army of the Dead was the last film he did. So that Zack Snyder
last
zombie
acting appearance or the last
the last acting. Yeah, as far as stunts go though, Naked Gun, Superman.
Yeah.
Joker 2, Roadhouse, Rebel Moon, Blue Beetle, Guardians 3, Avatar 2, Guardians Holiday Special, Peacemaker. Looks like Peacemaker season 1.
So he's big in the Gunn and Snyder camps.
Yeah.
Huh. Good for him. That's great.
For Warner Brothers. Terminator Dark Fate stunts. Like he's Deadpool 2, Justice League. He was fight choreographer, I guess Whedon and/or
okay, yeah.
That's neither here nor there, but that's fascinating. Had no idea. I love when we go back and learn this kind of stuff. But anyway,
he is one of the more memorable young Lexes for me. I think that this is such a great performance and because it's so important to the whole understanding the dynamic of Lex and Lionel.
Well, and I think about that shot of him holding the blanket, in the rain, and then obviously Tim sends me that gif of him alone at the table.
That one, that's etched in my mind.
It's etched in my mind. He sends me that one a lot. So he does seem like a very memorable guy, but to have only played Lex that one time.
Was it really the once?
In this one episode.
It looms his face looms so large in my memory of young Lex that I just misremember it as a couple of appearances. I guess I'm maybe misremembering some of the other actors as him or whatever, but he makes an impression on me. And he really, seeing him at the school, seeing him at the manor, all of these appearances that he makes in this one episode really, really stay for me and are core memories for me of young Lex and of formative episodes from his youth with Lionel. Getting the St. George's armor box, right? Getting him standing over the crib, all of this, his talking to his mother, those scenes really stay with me and this is an essential episode for understanding Lex. Essential.
I'm looking at his Instagram. He was at the premiere of Superman.
No kidding.
That's crazy.
Huh.
I gotta
you gotta reach out.
Talk to Wayne. I gotta reach out to Wayne. This is too cool. We gotta have him on the show. This is fascinating to talk about.
Love that.
But you're right. It's so. I think him and Connor Stanhope.
They're the two that are
really the two. Obviously, the kid from the pilot and Lineage is the other thing. Speaking of that, though, the other thing I love about this episode is it's such a good Glover performance. We've already talked about that, but it's obviously such a big episode for him. You've got this huge rift between him and Lex, between Lionel and Lex at this point in the series. And then to see in these flashbacks, I loved when they made his hair straight for the flashbacks. It's curly, as it gets more menacing, he becomes curly. But back then he was just straight haired Lionel. But to see him dote on Julian, and it's like, oh, this one has hair. He could be somebody. That's why I love this one. This one has hair.
This one has hair.
So that's why it grieved him so much. The bald one killed him. That's what he thinks the bald one killed him. So he's so much more taken with than the hairless child.
The conversation between him and Lillian is so good and so telling. That was such an from a writing perspective, so economical. It communicated so much with so few words. That scene tells you so much about Lex's childhood and what the home was like. It just paints such a vivid picture.
Well, and I remember so many things too about this one, just the direction that they took. It speaks volumes to having your show co-creator be the writer for the episode and the director for the episode. And I think that's one of the reasons it turns out to be such a monumental hour for the series, but it's also just so beautifully done. But every time Lex goes into a trance, the way that they did change the lighting.
Yes.
But there's that one shot of the stained glass window in the office and the colors coming through and everything. It's just, they really did some phenomenal stuff in this one.
Even that shot you were talking about at the table, sitting alone at the table, it comes up from black.
I know, that's slow pull. Yeah.
So good.
And I know Tom and Michael talked about that one a lot in Talkville, and I think Miles is on that episode, and I may even go back and pull some from that audio of that episode and put it in here just to hear Tom
clip of Miles
here. Yeah, Red Tornado. The hours I lost on AAC. Frank. Not that I would have done anything more special with them, but
You know, you can do MP3 chapters now.
You do what now?
You can do MP3 chapters now. Yeah.
Not for me.
With images and everything, you can do it in MP3s. So
With images too? You don't even.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously AAC is a dead format.
yeah, AC's a but you can do what that was. You can do that in MP3s now. Podcast players will show it.
I choose not to.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff AI is good for. Here,
There you go.
You just populate images of
Red Tornado.
Memoria for me. Red Tornado.
Mostly just images of Red Tornado is all it can really do.
We have Edna, our Shoe's AI assistant's name is Will Cooper. But I think the lasting legacy of this episode, and it gets brought up a lot, and when it comes time again for like top 10 list, I think people list this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think definitely legacy wise, it's a top 10.
Definitely.
Legacy wise, it is as well. There's obviously episodes that I would say are more fun. It is a depressing hour. It's a very sad episode of the series, but it's also, again, I hate to keep going back to the well and saying beautiful, but it is a very beautiful episode of the series as well.
It is. The cinematography, the lighting, it is a beautiful like painting of an episode. It is just and it goes to so many different locations too, between the school and Excelsior and Summerholt, and obviously you've got then the typical locations as well. But like you go to all these different places in the one episode and different time periods.
Right.
It does so much. It does so much.
You've also got, I think, watching then. I watch now from a very different standpoint than I did watch then. Obviously, age, but back then I was just a Superman fan watching. Like I was a fan of television and film and everything. But back then we were watching for anything that threw off Superman alarms to us. We were talking about like the Cape and Hereafter from this season and stuff like that. So seeing like Jor-El wearing red and Laura wearing blue and Clark wrapped in yellow and the Kryptonian lettering, and of course they used the real key and not the heart of the ship, but
right.
That kind of stuff. Like that was big for us at that time period because we never even though we had Jor-El at this point, we were still pretty far away from getting stuff, the Fortress at the end of the next season, but just stuff that was so entrenched in Superman and not just a young Clark Kent. Stuff that was very much becoming, so like the memories coming from the ship. It's weird to be talking about this one right now. Because at the time of this recording, Apocalypse is the next episode for Talkville, and I know Tom will have a lot to say about that, obviously in directing that hour, but that whole going back to Krypton episode, which kind of parallels this one here. Note here, this episode contains several deleted scenes that can be seen I thought that said that can't be seen on the season 3 DVDs. So the Memoria does have deleted scenes. In one flashback, Lionel and the headmaster discuss Lex's strange behavior. In another, Lex wishes at his birthday party that he would never have to go back to boarding school. Anna appears in 3 scenes, of course she does, where she receives her acceptance letter from the Paris Art School and then asks Lex to buy her out of her share at the Talon so she can afford to go.
Yes.
She also learns that the FBI is bugging the phones at the Talon and asks Lex if he is using the business to launder money. Lex doesn't
I don't remember that.
This particular scene is referenced in the comic story Lies, which this is when the comic was running. And then finally, Clark and Martha talk about the danger of Lex continuing the treatment, discussing Lex's health and Clark's secret. Martha, too, in this episode, that scene between her and Lionel when she's ascending the stairs and is, basically like, no, you talking about Jonathan, and Lionel has that little dig. It's like, I hope, I'm sure this is, hitting him hard, in his weakened state, not being able to run the farm. And she's like, no, his spirit of character will, see him through, unlike you magnificent bastard.
Miss your wisdom. I miss your miss your counsel.
Miss your sage wisdom. Yeah.
Sage wisdom, that was it. Yeah.
And I for some reason I thought I remember her saying something like, no, I'm right where I'm supposed to be, but she doesn't say anything like that.
Oh.
Scenes involving Allison Mack. Yeah, that's right. It was all over her face. Scenes involving Allison and Kristen were cut from the episode with the exception of the opening teaser where Lana finds Lex on the balcony and informs Clark. As the team felt they were inappropriate for this episode, which stood well on just the story arc involving Clark, Lex, and Lionel. This also directed the episode into more of a mother and sons feel. Yeah, obviously, which it is.
Is this Allison Down's first appearance as Lillian? Had we seen her before this?
I think this was her first appearance.
I think so, right? And she played Lillian many times after this.
Lexmas and one other.
Yeah, there's at least one more. Is it in season 7, perhaps?
Oh, Fracture?
Yeah, I just like, there's not a, we have many Lexes, but I always like that we got her.
Yeah, she stayed Lillian throughout. Let's see here. You are correct. She is in, we were both right, Fracture.
Season 7.
So, season 7. So she is in Memoria. She's in a deleted scene in season 4.
I might be thinking of that
She's
as well.
in Lexmas and Void. Do you remember her being in Void in season
Yes.
5? And then she is in Fracture.
Nice.
So,
yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So it's nice to.
There's just not that many where people are that late into the series as far as season 7 still playing a role they played in the early years. There's just not a lot of those instances. So it's fun. It's always fun when that does happen. The continuity is always fun for me.
She is Rosenbaum is older than her, which
no kidding.
doesn't matter.
Yeah,
well,
I mean,
he's a kid,
yeah.
so that doesn't really.
Yeah,
and
but
obviously
still.
she dies. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
He was born in 72. Alison Down, who portrayed the character, was born in 76.
Fun fact.
Oh no. Never mind. I thought it said she was deceased. Lillian Luther's deceased. Yeah, duh. I thought it was saying the actor was deceased. I was like, oh
no,
I didn't know that. No, it's not.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
So another really strong. Again, I look back on season 3 so fondly.
Yeah.
And how well developed it was. How many things they kind of pull over for the rest of the series that kind of came from season 3.
Yes.
And so much good stuff that paid off as a result of it. Transference is one of my favorite episodes of the season, and obviously that's so heavy into Lionel's sickness, but also, the clash between Clark and Lionel that happens between this season, and just the cat and mouse, to the point that he even calls Clark a mouse in this episode to Gardner. He's like, the mouse took the bait. But there's so much cat and mouse between them. I mean, to the point Lionel's got that video on repeat from Belle Reve of I know your secret, Clark, and Clark's very actively torn between wanting to protect Lex and not see him, be more hurt by Lionel and be hurt by these 7 weeks that he's lost, and his mental break with the plane crash on the island, but also not wanting him to know what Clark's secret was. And it is funny. I know the joke now, so much later, is, oh, well, Lex is the way, Clark made Lex evil. If Clark had just let Lex in early on, maybe Lex would not have gone to the dark side and all this kind of, it was his journey that especially toward the end, that made him so.
It's a part of it. It's a big part of it. I think, though, when you watch an episode like this, you see just how much Lionel is responsible for the nurture around Lex that leads to the man that he becomes. And is it in Memoria or Truth where someone is like, I think Clark says, like, the more you dig into your father's past, like, the more you become like him. And Lex says, like, well, I'm never going to be my father. Here we are where Tocqueville's doing Descent. And
you kill your father just as Lionel killed,
Exactly. So, like, it really is like I assure you I'm never going to be him, but, like, you become the very thing that you sort of destroy.
Right. And it's so good to go back to, especially like in the season 3, and watch these Tom and Michael scenes. Like, obviously they're Clark and Lex, and I think they're why they're so highly regarded in the Mount Rushmores of Superman and Lex Luthor, why the two of them are so good. But I was telling Tom and Michael this a few weeks ago, and this is something you and I were talking about at the beginning of the episode, how weird it is we got those remaining episodes in season 7 when we shouldn't have. Veritas could have wrapped up very differently. It was supposed to end with Lex standing outside the fortress approaching it, and then cut to black, and then God knows what would have happened. Michael doesn't come back, and how I would love to know the history of what could have happened, had that not been the case. But Descent, which is the first episode they were able to do after the strike lifted, and kind of build on so Lionel's death wasn't just as much a throwaway thing as it was going to be in Veritas. It has 2 of the finest scenes between Tom and Michael of the entire series in that episode. Descent's one of the best episodes of the series to me, in my opinion. Anyway, you've got Lois and Jimmy teaming up, trying to take down Lex. You've got Clark, trying to uncover this, what Lex has done, and Lionel's death, which is, I thought, handled very well. But the scene where Clark confronts Lex at the Luthor Mansion, this is Smallville, alien symbols, cryptic, cryptic symbols, alien ships. Somebody, has to save the world. That whole thing, and Clark telling Lex, "I have proof," that you killed Lionel. Like, that's a great scene. But then the funeral. I don't know why the funeral is such a lasting impression on me all these years later. We joke so much on Shu about the spreading up the dirt. That's that was Clark's always kind of go-to thing.
That was his thing.
If you go back and read the Veritas script, Lex is at the funeral, but it's press there. everywhere.
Interesting.
And that's
It's
it.
just
So,
Lex and there's press.
yeah.
Huh.
And so now, I say funeral, but burial, I guess.
Yeah.
The wake, whatever you want to, graveside service, whatever you want to say. But I think, I don't know, man, the two of them standing on that hill with Metropolis in the background, and you see Luther Corp, and you see the Daily Planet, and you see the sun cutting through that overcast Vancouver/Kansas day. And it's one of the best musical pieces, I think, on the show. And
Not as good as I Grieve.
Not as good as I Grieve. But, obviously a little bit reminiscent of, Jonathan too, with
100%.
that
I think
episode.
intentionally so, right? I mean, that's what the spreading of the dirt
show,
is.
Yeah, the show was so much about fathers and sons.
Yes.
And when all was said and done, and obviously Jonathan and Lionel having such an huge impact on each other's lives.
Yep. And on Clark's.
And then on Clark and on Lex. And so watching the two of these sons bury their fathers were really important episodes at the time. But looking back, and I'm just like, that was such a Superman Lex thing to me, to watch them standing on opposite sides of that grave.
Mm-hmm.
That, has something that has become such a contention point, because by that point, Lionel, having become Jor-El's emissary and feeling very protective of Clark and becoming almost like a father figure in his own right after Jonathan's absence, which drove the wedge between him and Clark even more. But I think those two scenes in Descent are an episode we're not talking about today, but also have carryover from these episodes, I think, are phenomenal. And it's weird we almost didn't get that.
I know, isn't it?
Had Hollywood been a little different in February of 2008. So
what might have been?
It is crazy, the alternate routes. Again, what could have happened on this show, if Reeve hadn't gotten sick and untimely, passed away, and the Margot Kidder, and, all the different things that could have been done. But
would we have gotten Margot Kidder? Probably not.
I think they still would have probably done
eventually
something with her. Yeah, but, maybe not have killed her off as quickly.
Yeah, that
or
still
as
surprises me.
Unceremoniously.
Yeah.
As they did. So.
Off screen.
Memoria is one of 3 episodes of the series to use Latin name for the title of the episode, others being Obscura and Veritas.
And actually, that reminds me, speaking of Latin, at the beginning of the episode, something I never noticed before was when they're at Excelsior, Lionel and the headmaster are talking in that classroom, and I paused for a second and looked at what was on the blackboards in the room. It was, one board had a French lesson on it. Okay, fine, fair enough. Rich prep school kids learning French.
Sure.
And the other one was Latin mottos. And
Veritas on there?
Not Veritas.
Okay.
I wish it was. The most noticeable one was Ars gratis ars gratis artis, which is the MGM motto, which means art for art's sake. And I thought it was like, MGM, not a Warner Brothers reference here. We went for an MGM reference.
I did notice too, and I wonder, I would have to go back and watch, but this is obviously Excelsior, the school he's at, but they used the same logo in season 6.
Yes.
I don't know if we ever seen the Excelsior logo up until this point. We probably have. I'm not sure in season 3, but they go back and use that same kind of coat of arms.
Is it? It's not the same location in season 3 and season 6, is it? I don't.
No, I
think
wouldn't
so.
think. I wouldn't
like
think
the same
so.
establishing shot. I don't ever.
I'm trying to remember. But... Of course, I think the exterior may have very well been Luther Mansion.
Yeah, true.
Even though it was the school, but that shot from the cold open, I think, is still just on Vancouver Island.
Okay.
Where we've also been.
We've also been there.
So, did we miss anything? We good?
Yeah, I'm sure we did. We
didn't talk about the lead box, but I think that's
the lead box. Yeah,
that was an important
aspect
too, especially that story. I really like anytime Lionel gets to tell a story is, sit down. You're in for something.
There's that Shakespearean thing again, right?
Always. He's a good storyteller.
Yeah.
4 years later, Agent Carter would use a similar procedure, a kryptonite IV, on Clark's cousin Kara to extract her memories and Laura.
Oh yeah. I remember thinking that was reminiscent at the time.
Yeah. Makes me wonder now what the Odyssey reference is. I
gotta go
listen. I wonder if that's a test reference or what.
It's ringing a bell. Like hearing that rings a bell. Like, I feel like there was a reference back at that time, but I don't remember exactly what it was. But it does sound familiar.
I can't remember every line of dialogue all these years later.
I can't remember.
It's sad. It does make me feel a little. I'll say this. I hadn't said this, but we were doing the trivia contest at A Salute to Smallville, and I asked one wrong. Like I gave it correctly because I couldn't remember, and I had the answers, and I still was like, I don't need the answers, and I said it wrong, and somebody called me out on it, rightfully.
Well,
but used to I could do the party trick of the episode titles.
Season 3 was your specialty.
Season 3 was a specialty, and I couldn't if I tried. Now I think I have dementia.
That's a good episode.
Dementia? Which one was that? That's the one where Derek's insurance doesn't cover the meds he needs to be able to get through the day. Frank, tell them where they can find you.
Find me on TikTok these days. Frank Ramblings on TikTok. I'm doing if you like the Beatles, I'm doing a lot of stuff on the Beatles. I'm putting together a course on them. So yeah, if you find the details over at Frank Ramblings on TikTok, and find me at Beer with Geeks, the podcast. If you're a fan of Superman comics, I do a This Month in Superman show on the This Comic Cooks YouTube channel with my friends Tim and Vactor. We talk about every month the new Superman comics that drop. So you can check those things out.
Check it out. Always, you can find us wherever you do your social media at Superhouse of L or our website, superhouseofl.com. And you can listen to the House of L wherever you get your podcast. Just search the House of L. Subscribe, rate, and review. I am told at the time of this recording, we are now on Sirius XM. I don't know how that works, but if that is your podcatcher of choice from Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen, you can now add Sirius XM to the list. So we appreciate you. And please go over to our YouTube if you're not following it already and subscribe. I'm trying to do more stuff there. I'm hoping to put this full video episode up on there. We've got interviews coming. We've got a lot of cool stuff. So look there. Please subscribe. We've only had that account since 2007 and we've done nothing with it. So we're trying to do more YouTube. So if you're not an Instagrammer or a TikToker, that's another great way to find our videos. Have got a few more episodes planned through the end of the year. Robin's going to be joining us for our next one where we're talking Talisman and Forsaken. We have a very special Damian Holbrook Christmas episode coming up.
That's so exciting.
Or gather around the fireplace and listen to Derek and Damian talk about potentially Lexmas, but probably we'll just evolve into tangents about Christmas.
I hope.
Or what have you. So
we should be so lucky.
Check those out. We really appreciate you guys. 20 years of doing this, and it's still so much fun to get to talk with my friends week to week. So, Frank, thank you for being here today.
Pleasure to be here, buddy.
We'll see you guys next time.